So, Shakur, he had that fight. We just talked about it, and there's been a lot of chatter since that fight. Ryan and Shakur have been going back and forth a little bit, and Shakur said, you know what, he on Twitter, of course, and fights don't get made on the internet, but Shakur stated that he'd be open to taking that fight. He'd be open to fighting Ryan, and he also stated that he would stand in front of him. Do you think, first and foremost, that fight is possible? And two, if it does happen, do you think Shakur Stevenson would stand in front of Ryan Garcia?
I don't know, but I know one thing, that all the fights that took place this year, that's why I use 2023 as a commercial for what's next in the business and the world of viewership in boxing. I believe that fight should happen. I want to see that fight happen. Whether it happens, we're going to know sooner than later. But again, like I said again, the fighters, I mean, in a way, I'm thinking to myself, to do an interview to talk about things that should happen, can happen. If the fighters want the fight to happen, it's their career, it's their life, it's their win, their loss, their achievement, their Hall of Fame, their Hall of Shame. All that comes in play when a fighter takes ownership and responsibility of his career. That doesn't mean he should fire his financial planner. That doesn't mean he should just fire anybody, give them good information. I mean, look at this young youth here who came over. Get them on camera. Who's watching me do my interview. Yeah, come close. They watching me do my interview without being called over to watch the interview because they like a sponge who's absorbing everything that they see and hear, good or bad. So, why I'm aware of that and conscious of that, I recognize that every time I take a move, every time I take a step, every time I open my mouth, the world is listening. This is a prime example in Houston that this population, these young generation of greatness, and it's necessary, it don't have to be sports or boxing. They're looking for guidance. Yes, their parents are gonna give it to them. Yes, their cousins, their aunties, their uncles. But we as athletes have something that they're attracted to. And they're attracted to what? They're attracted to success, the best. And so boxing has to understand that they are replaceable. Another generation will come and replace them like they replaced us.
Yeah.
But one thing can't be replaced. History. History cannot be replaced.
And Champ, from everything you're saying, I gather what you're telling me is that if they want to be great, they got to meet in the ring. That those fights, like excuse me here.
If you want to be
a Ryan and a Shakur should happen.
I go deeper than that.
Go ahead.
I go deeper than that. If you want to be anything, you have to put a sincere effort. Because boxing, if you dare to be great, boxing will call your bluff. Life will call your bluff if you don't go in there prepared and go in there ready.
So you know what? That's a good segue. So then,
no, there ain't no segue. That's facts.
No.
Life will call your bluff. Life will call your bluff, and boxing will call your bluff if you talk a good game. If you have 10 million, 8 million, 30 million followers, it doesn't mean nothing when it comes to boxing calling your bluff. Because at the end of the day, you can bluff anybody else. You can bluff your followers, you can bluff your naysayers, you can even bluff people in your family. But one thing about the sweet science of boxing and the history of it, and life itself, it will test you, it will challenge you. You dare to be that, you dare to be this? Well, let's see. And when that time comes, it will come before you know it. You must be there to answer it. If you're here, you must be there to answer it. So they're preparing themselves to be here for their future. They're preparing themselves to be great. And how you prepare yourself now at this generation.
So what I was gonna say was a segue for me, not for you, champ, but for me, for my next question. And what do you think about Teofimo Lopez turning down the fight with Ryan? He said $1.5 million wasn't enough, that he was the money guy, he brought in the promoters and the sponsors, but he didn't take the fight.
Let me tell you something. He has a right to say he's worth more, even if I or you or anyone else said he's not. You only get what you ask for. This is an old, ancient way of doing business in boxing. Boxing is not ran like football and basketball where they got agents where they'll work out the deal and they'll come with a deal and they'll present it to their client. This is totally different here. If he believes that he's worth this, who's I to say he's not?
Gotcha.
You only worth what people want to pay you.
They say you get what you negotiate, right?
Absolutely.
Got it.